All right, we are back with insider betting. I just got back from New York from UFC 309. Unbelievable experience. We'll touch on that in a little bit, potentially. But we're here to talk about UFC Macau. First, I don't know, is this the first fight card in China?
No, there's been a couple.
There's been a couple, right?
Yeah, there was
But
one.
it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah. But anyway, before we get into it, Jesse, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm wide awake. It's noon here in Los Angeles. I will not be wide awake for when these fights take place, unfortunately, because I believe this card, you're on Central Time, I'm on Pacific Time, will be at 3 a.m. my time when the main card starts. So I might be able to catch the prelims, but I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling Saturday morning if I'm able to watch this one.
I guess will it be Saturday morning? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It'll be Saturday morning for me.
Yeah, I think the only people that are catching the Petr Yan and Figgy fight are going to be on the East Coast because that'll probably be on at like 8 a.m. Eastern. Once they get to a few of the cards on the main card.
Maybe I'll wake up at 5:30 a.m. just so I can post a winner's graphic when the fight is over with. That's what I'll probably do. So
we'll have to schedule our predictions and just hope they win. No.
Yeah. I'll schedule for both, and then we'll delete whoever doesn't win.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna be in the comments, what the fuck, and then we'll just delete.
Yeah, exactly.
One.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get right into things over here. First fight on the main card, and as always, we'll talk about the prelims. Sometimes we do if there's a fight worth talking about, but I don't recognize a single person on the prelims at all.
Yeah, it would be bad for us to like give betting advice on fighters we've never heard of. That would just be bad. So probably
it's already bad enough that we can barely pronounce their names. So
yeah.
But we got ZHANG MINGYANG versus OZZY DIAZ starting up the main card in China. Super weird fight. We were talking about it before we jumped on here, but OZZY DIAZ lost to Joe Pyfer on Dana White's Contender Series. He got knocked out. And now he's making his UFC debut after winning 2 fights outside of the UFC. I don't know how he got the UFC contract, but he did. So fuck it, whatever. ZHANG MINGYANG, on the other hand, he's 1-0 in the UFC. He's on a 10-fight win streak. He beat Brenson Ribeiro, who just beat Kai Mikado in UFC Edmonton. So he's a pretty solid opponent. It was a good first win for him. Odds are this fight ends in a knockout. From what I'm seeing here, ZHANG MINGYANG is 17-6 with 11 knockouts and 6 submissions, while OZZY DIAZ is 9-2. He's got 7 knockouts and 2 submissions, and both of his losses have come by knockout. If the fight doesn't go well on the feet, ZHANG is the superior grappler from what it looks like, and he should be able to end it there. I know the graphic here doesn't really account for that because I don't think he's had to use his grappling in the UFC, and that's where these stats come from. But he does have a few submission wins. I think you can consider power to be equal, although ZHANG probably takes the edge on that. But he's just faster. As you can see, he lands 9.23 strikes per minute, which is absolutely ridiculous compared to 1.65. He looks to be better all around. I'm going with ZHANG. He's the big favorite at -340. I feel like it's tough to pick against him, especially in China.
Yeah, he's also a -185 by knockout. So that's where Vegas is expecting this to go. And that was my first. +450 for OZZY DIAZ to win by KO. It's an interesting sprinkle, just considering 7 of his 9 wins are by knockout. So I could imagine that I wouldn't blame you for considering that one, a little sprinkle in that one. But I like ZHANG here. I also love his nickname, Mountain Tiger. What an amazing nickname that is. That's just awesome. About Diaz, I think the reason why he's probably getting this fight, and I think that the UFC does this sometimes, is you will see him, like he loses to Joe Pyfer in Contender Series. And I imagine that because LFA is a fight league that UFC monitors pretty heavily, I imagine that the guys that he beat in LFA by knockout, both of my knockout, were guys that UFC was considering bringing on Contender Series anyway. So it's like, hey, if you knock those guys out, we're pretty comfortable with bringing you in into the UFC. So that's what I imagine happened there.
Probably.
So that being said, I still expect ZHANG to win by knockout here. That's my official prediction. -185. I don't know if I'd bet it, to be honest. But that's where my money would
Yeah.
go if I were.
He seems like someone who will just spice up your parlay a little bit, even though it doesn't
Yeah.
increase your odds too much. But that's
Yeah,
kind of
they're gonna
that's
they
how this
want to
fight's gonna go.
kick off this Macau card with a bang. That's why they did it.
Yeah,
This is the main card. They want to really, when all the crowd is showing up for the first fight on the main card, this is when
yeah.
they want to make this one kick off with a bang. That's why they did this.
Agreed. And they're gonna continue with the bank in their second fight.
Oh my
They
god.
got VOLKAN OZZDEMIR versus Carlos Ulberg. Two dogs, really.
Yeah.
VOLKAN is he's a vet. He's fought some pretty big stars in the UFC. He's fought Daniel Cormier, Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes, Alexander Rakic, Yuri Prochazka, Magomed Ankalaev. Those are some massive names in the light heavyweight division. Um, the caveat is he's lost to all of them except for Alexander Rakic. So based on what kind of goes on, is it seems like he beats the guys he's supposed to beat. He loses to the stars, with Rakic being the exception. He's 3 out of his last 5, which is pretty solid. His wins have come against Johnny Walker, Bogdan Guskov, and Paul Craig, who are all okay opponents, but you'd expect him to beat all of them. Carlos Ulberg, on the other hand, is on a 6-5 win streak. He just beat Alonzo Menifield. And sorry, the 6-5 win streak came after losing his UFC debut. So he's 6-1 in the UFC. And we've kind of been waiting to see Carlos Ulberg. He was supposed to, he was waiting for his first real test in the UFC, his first ranked opponent. And he was actually supposed to fight Jamal Hill at UFC 303, where Jamal Hill pulled out. That fight was rescheduled for Carlos Ulberg to fight Anthony Smith. And then Carlos Ulberg had to pull out. I think it was due to a shoulder injury or something like that. It was either shoulder or knee injury, because I know Jamal Hill went out with the other one. But anyway, he's a minus 230 favorite. He's got 7 knockouts in his 10 wins. This feels like truly a big test for him, but I do think that he's going to overcome the test, and I think he's probably going to get the win here. I'm a big Carlos Ulberg fan personally. I've enjoyed watching him fight. I was really disappointed to see his 303 fights get canceled, because I thought he would beat Jamal Hill and I thought he would beat Anthony Smith. So VOLKAN seems like the lesser of the 3, and so I expect him to get the win here as well.
Okay, before I get to my take, that you just you reminded me of that UFC 303 card, because that was originally the Conor McGregor card. The story of that card, somebody needs to make a documentary of that card, because it was Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, and then it was Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree in the co-main event. Conor and Chandler obviously pulled out, and then the main event became Pereira versus Yuri, and the co-main became Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree, and then it became Jamal Hill versus Carlos Ulberg, and then it became Carlos Ulberg versus Anthony Smith, and then it became Diego Lopez versus Dan Ige on Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega, and then it became Diego Lopez versus Dan Ige on 3 hours notice. The craziest fucking card of all time. Anyways,
insane.
That being said, I actually spoke to VOLKAN OEZDEMIR in Paris at UFC Paris. He was there. He was in town, and I got a chance to talk to him. Super nice guy. I talked to him a little bit off camera too. He was really excited about this fight, just a chance to fight a guy like this, because I think that he beat Johnny Walker, and I think he kind of reminded everybody of who he was. But I think we're also, maybe Johnny Walker got a little overhyped, right? And he beats Johnny Walker. I think a lot of people were expecting Walker to win that fight. That was Walker's gonna get back on the map type of fight. And then he gets brutally knocked out, and VOLKAN kind of reminded everybody who he is. I actually think this is one of the better high value underdog picks you're gonna get on this card. These guys are similar in age. VOLKAN has fought the best of the best, whereas Carlos Ulberg has, still kind of fought that middle tier light heavyweight. So this is by far his biggest test. He's going up against a guy at the same age, that's around the same size, and has fought high level competition. I think Ulberg absolutely should be the favorite. I think Ulberg by knockout is a good bet. But I really like the odds on OEZDEMIR. I'm tempted to take them. I really am. But Carlos Ulberg just kind of feels like a wrecking ball right now and a force of nature. And I think it's going to be a violent, brutal fight. I think both guys are going to have their moments, but I think Ulberg will pull it out in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate that pick. I don't hate that pick. I got a couple other underdog picks that I'm kind of riding with. So I'm trying to, I feel like what I did for UFC 309, and I was like, oh, a few underdogs are gonna win. You got to pick some underdogs, and then I don't think a single underdog ended up winning on the main card.
Right.
So I'm trying to be very cautious with the ones I pick, but I don't hate your pick with Volkan here. I think he definitely can get the win here.
Well, no, I'm going with Ulberg, but I'm just saying, like, I do think OEZDEMIR is a great high value underdog pick. I think that this, like, the odds could be a little bit closer, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But Ulberg plus 180, or sorry, plus 130 by knockout might be the way to go. But I don't know. I don't hate minus 230 money line too, if you really think it's a lock. But
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Maybe parlay it.
Yeah. Yeah. On the other hand, here we got Wang Kong or Kong Wang against Gabriella Fernandez. Wang Kong is 6-0. She's recently beaten Victoria Leonardo in her UFC debut. She got 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 2 decision wins in her 6 wins. Gabriella Fernandez, on the other hand, is 3 in her last 5. She's 1-2 in the UFC. She's lost to Teresa Bleda and Jasmine. I don't want to pronounce her last name, but she's the Canadian fighter who got the win at UFC Edmonton.
Judavicius or something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And her win in the UFC is her most recent fight against Carly Judas. Wang Kong seems to be legit. She seems to have a lot of power for the women's flyweight division. I think it'll come down to although Gabriella Fernandez isn't necessarily the best grappler in the world. She's Brazilian. She's got it in her blood. Might go for a few takedowns. Wang Kong hasn't had to kind of fight against takedowns in her UFC career so far. With that being said, that's like what can go wrong. I don't think it will go wrong. She's a minus 950 favorite for a reason. She's fighting at home. I think she's going to get the win at minus 950. It's like literally impossible to bet against her.
No, this is one of the more terrifying strikers that you'll ever see in women's flyweight. I think, didn't she fight at strawweight in her last fight? Am I crazy about that? Am I wrong on that?
I'm not sure.
Because
I'll look it up.
I feel like in her last fight, she fought at strawweight. I might have seen somebody saying that. I could be totally wrong, but she is an excellent, excellent striker. She's also terrifying in her face-offs. I don't know. Did you see her face-off? Can I actually add this really quick? If you can go back to the slide.
Yeah. You got it here.
This is what she was wearing at the
face-off. This is her. Yeah. I didn't know.
Yeah. No, she's fucking terrifying, dude. Like she really got into her. Is this her? Wait, is this the same chick?
I don't know. Right? I don't know. Is it? It looks like
it is. I think. Hold on. I'm looking at the card right now because I know that she is on. Yeah, this is her. No, she is absolutely a really, really brutal striker. I don't know if you want to go back to the other slide that you have, but she was just like a virtuoso striker, and I think she's going to shake up this division a lot. We don't know what her grappling is like. This is going to be it looks like she's a better grappler too, based on these statistics. So
yeah. It looks like she might have been beating someone up and then just taking them down to ground and pound after. I don't think her grappling is anything crazy.
I think
maybe.
I think you have to just throw in like her by knockout or something, because there's just no way that you can even bet on this. What is she? She's the win by KO or TKO is a plus 250. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
Considering she's a minus 950.
Yeah. You know how crazy it is to land 10 times the amount of strikes you absorb per minute? Like, that's insane. She lands 7.07 strikes per minute in the UFC and has only absorbed 0.73 per minute. That's nuts.
Right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, but her name on Instagram is Wang, Kong the Joker Wang. I think that might be her her actual nickname, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But yeah, I mean, no, she's pretty scary and she has good power, which is, you know, surprising.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, dude, what I'm not gonna bet. Maybe sprinkle something on Gabriella Fernandez, or I'm not betting the -950. You know,
No,
it's
no,
like,
keep your money.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, Prelim of the night, or not prelim of the night, feature fight of the night. We got Kenan Song or Song Kenan versus Muslim Saikov. The Chinese names always mess me up because I think out of respect they always go last name first name, but then certain websites go first name last name, so I never know which one's their actual first name and which one's their last name,
Yeah,
just based on what I see online. But anyways, we got Song Kenan. He's 22-8. He's got 9 knockouts, 9 submissions, and 4 decision wins. Salikhov, on the other hand, he's 20-5. He was on a 5-fight win streak at one point before going on a pretty rough streak in his last 5 fights. He's only 2 in his last 5. He's being beaten Santiago Ponzinibbio. He's being an Andre Fialho. But he's got losses against Randy Brown, Nicholas Dalby, and the Leech as well. It's always tough to bet against these OVEV last names, but when he's 40 years old and he's 2 in his last 5, it kind of makes it a bit easier. Kenan Song also isn't like all that, you know. He's also 2 in his last fight, in his last 5. He's beaten Ricky Glenn. He's beaten Rolando Bedoya. He's lost to Kevin Jousset, Ian Gary, and Max Griffin, who are, I'd say, probably all pretty decent opponents, especially Ian Gary being in there. Neither of these fighters are that great. Neither of them have aspirations of becoming champions, I don't think. I feel like we might see a decision win here, surprisingly. And I think the home crowd is going to help Song get it done. So I'm going with Song Kenan at a plus 154 underdog. And that's one of my underdog picks of the night.
yeah. I think I'm sort of with you on it going to decision, because like as soon as I saw this, I was just thinking that 2 guys who are older. It's not, you know, Salikhov. Obviously, he's a great striker, but I mean, you know, he's just not the speed. He's not as speedy as he used to be, and that showed against
No.
Randy Brown. He looked really slow against Randy Brown. I kind of like just taking the over in this fight because I don't know who's going to win. I know that my rule is betting on the OVEVs. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I could just stick with it and then see what happens, but I would just bet the over on rounds if I'm being honest. I feel like that's more of a lock than picking a definitive winner here.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I think decision's going to be the case here. So picking the over on whatever they have the over under is good for
Yeah,
rounds.
it's a -145 to go over 2.5. So
There we go.
they're right there with us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Odds makers always follow us, eh?
Yeah. But I mean, if you're betting on Muslim to win, you're getting better value. So it's like you might as well
Yeah,
just take it. So
yeah. Co-main event, we got Yan Zonan versus Tabitha Ritchie. I think I nailed that name, by the way.
Mhm.
We're getting better at this.
I think it's
Yan
actually Yan
is
Xiaonan.
Zonan.
Yan
Yeah,
Xiaonan.
Yan Xiaonan. I'll get
Yeah.
it eventually.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's coming off of a loss to Weili Zhang in her first title fight, I believe. She's also got in her last 5 2 losses to Marina Rodriguez and Carla Esparza, but she does have wins over Jessica Andrade and Mackenzie Dern, who are both pretty decent opponents. Tabitha Ritchie, on the other hand, she's 4 in her last fight, beating Angela Hill, Pennington, Jillian Robertson, and she's got a loss to Lupita Godinez. It's a bit of a tough pick here. I am leaning towards Yan. I think she's going to pull it off. I think the one thing Tabitha Ritchie has going for her is just like her relentless pressure. She just seems to have like an endless tank. But I think Yan is more technical in almost every aspect. I think that Tabitha Ritchie, she just kind of takes you down and she'll just sit on you, you know? And I think this is a 3-round. Is this a 3 or a 5-round fight?
This is a 3-round fight. Yeah.
This is a 3-round fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a 3-round fight, that is pretty advantageous, I think.
Yeah.
But in a 3-round fight, it also allows Yan to be a little bit more explosive. She doesn't have to conserve as much energy. So I think Yan's going to get the win here, especially at home. So that's kind of what I'm going with here.
Yeah, this is actually a tough one to call. It's a big opportunity for Tabitha Ricci because from the UFC standpoint, this is potentially it's very good for them if Tabitha gets the win, just because she's very popular on social media. You know, she's pretty. She's dating Callum Walsh, who is Dana White's boxing poster child that he really likes to promote. She wins, she's going to take that number 2 ranking, and then all of a sudden she becomes one of the top number 1 contender for a title. It's a big moment for Tabitha Ricci here, and at a plus 164. I don't hate it. I do think she can pull off 2 rounds against Yan Xiaonan. Obviously, the crowd is going to be heavily behind Yan here, who's very high level, who held her own against Weili Zhang for the title. But I don't love how Ricci, she's sort of like Marab a little bit, where she spams you with takedowns, and then she just doesn't seem to have high efficiency with it. She has like says here 38% takedown accuracy. For somebody that gets 3 takedowns, what is that per round, per fight? What is that?
That's per fight.
So for 3 that means she's going like 3 for 9 on takedowns every fight.
Yeah. Just a relentless pressure. She just keeps pushing it, right?
Yeah. But I think that you can win a fight if you're constantly going for it and holding Yan up against the cage and then eventually getting a couple takedowns here and there. I think you can steal a couple of rounds. Like, I could see this split decision for Tabitha Ricci, even though they're going to have hometown judges most likely. So that might affect her a little bit. I actually kind of like Ricci in this fight. And because I kind of think that they do want her to, women's MMA always needs like the next fighter, and I think it's a win-win for them either way. If Yan becomes a star over in China, that's good for them. Ricci becomes a star for them over here, that's good for them. So it's kind of a win-win fight, but I do think Ricci has like some momentum on her side here, and I'll take her.
I like how you brought up the split decision, because she's got a split decision loss against Godinez and a split decision win against Pennington.
Yeah, her fights are always like that. They're always like that. She holds you up against the cage. It's a lot of control time nonsense. It's a lot of that stuff,
Yeah, but with that being said, a split decision win with the home crowd, I feel like favors Yan. So it's tough,
a tough
right?
sell. I know.
I
don't know. I'm just feeling Ricci here. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. So we're split on a couple here. I'll take it. I feel like we're going to be split on this next one too. Actually, I don't know, because I'm not really confident. But anyway, main event, Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo, or Figgy for short, is a very interesting fight, honestly, because Figgy has come into a new light in the bantamweight division. Right, he's beaten Rob Font, he's beaten Cody Garbrandt, Chito Vera. He's looked very, very good, very, very good. And then you have Petr Yan on the other hand, who at one point was a champion. People thought he should have still been champion against Aljo. People thought he should have beaten Sugar Sean, but the way the cards played out is he lost to Aljo, he lost to Sugar, and then he lost to Marab. So it's kind of like, what's next for him? He's coming off of a win to Song Yadong. And he's an incredible fighter. Don't get me wrong. He will outbox most people in the division. Absolutely incredible fighter. But I don't know, this new look for Figgy looks really good, even though he's a plus 245 underdog. My brain says go is Petr Yan. But I feel like it's tough to go against Figgy. I don't know. My heart goes Figgy. Petr Yan also beat Jose Aldo. He outboxed him in that fight, so he's already taken down one Brazilian. What's another? I would love Figgy to win, is what I'm getting at, but I just don't know if he's going to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, what Figgy's doing at bantamweight is just awesome. It just totally validates everything that he ever did at flyweight. It just goes to show that he is, he's the cream of the crop of UFC fighters right now. He's on a short
Yeah.
list of like top 15 fighters in the UFC. Like he is Deiveson Figueiredo is unbelievable. But Petr Yan is in that list too. And something that we do have to remember about Petr Yan is you mentioned his losses. The one loss against Aljamain Sterling, or the first loss, was the disqualification for the illegal knee in a fight that he was dominating. The next loss was a split decision loss to Aljamain Sterling, which some people feel like he might have won that fight. It was close, and that's coming off of a great win over Corey Sandhagen, just in the fight prior to that, one of the best bantamweights in the world, right? After that, he fights Sean O'Malley. Split decision loss in a fight that most people feel like he won. And then you go to the next fight against Merab. He just got, like you said, overwhelmed. Merab dominated him. Like no exceptions there. And then he beat Song Yadong. Petr Yan is arguably one of the top 2 or 3 bantamweights in the world. And he's 4 years younger than Figgy. He's fought everybody at bantamweight. And he's probably like one of the most complete fighters at bantamweight. He has great ground game. He has amazing striking. He can kind of do it all. And I'm kind of feeling decision here for Petr Yan. I feel like Petr Yan wins by decision. And I want Figgy to keep on this run, but I just kind of feel like this is where the run ends. I think Petr Yan is just... I could be eating my words here, but I just think very highly of Petr Yan, and I think that this is going to be kind of like a reminder fight for everybody about who he is and who he still is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I agree with you. It's tough to go against either of these guys,
It really is.
Yeah. But you said Petr arguably 2 or 3 top 2 or 3 bantamweights in the world. Well, he's ranked 3rd, so you're not wrong there.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is like I guess technically he would be 4 right now because
the champions
there's 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I just think that he's gotten a little bit screwed. Like he's kind of been very, very unlucky the past couple of years, and I think he kind of reminded everybody of that against Song Yadong. And it's just Merab's the best bantamweight in the world right now. That's why he beat Petr Yan. But I think Petr Yan beats everybody else. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. You. The question is it worth being up at 5 a.m. your time, 7 a.m. my time, or
3 a.m. my time? Oh, you mean when the fight happens?
With this specific fight. You're not getting up for any of those other fights. But this fight, you might.
I will. I'll wake up. I mean, I have to do my job and post the winners graphic. So yes, I will get up and watch it. But I don't really want to. But I will. I mean, I'll watch the fight. I'll get up at 5:30 and watch the fight.
Yeah, fair.
So.
Awesome.
But it's gonna be a good one. It's a great main event, to be honest. It's like it's
awesome... it genuinely is, and that's why it upsets me that it's at 7 a.m. because I was looking forward to this fight up until I found out how early it was.
Yeah.
And now I sound like a bitch because you said you'll be up at 5, but who knows? Maybe I'll be up at 7.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just send you the winners graphics then.
Yeah.
But
it's funny. But anyway, there's no fights next week, so Insider Betting won't be back next week. But maybe we'll do a little fight season episode next week because I'm assuming most fighters are going to take the week off. So maybe we'll run it as a duo next week. But as always, Jesse, it's been a pleasure, brother. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to chat some more fights.
Absolutely. And happy Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday to all you Christmas shoppers or Hanukkah shoppers,
yes,
whatever you do.
Of course, come on, we're inclusive.
Yeah.